Hey, what is going on, everybody? Welcome to Super Lunch Bus Podcast, episode number 102. I am Brendan.
And I'm Nate.
All right, today we are going to talk about UFC 272, Covington versus Masvidal, the impressive fight that turned out to be, as well as some other poignant fights on that card. There's some title implication fights. There's some future talent fights. There's some really good stuff. Before we get started, please like and subscribe. I'm still continuing the giveaway from 3 weeks ago. So if this video gets 100 likes, I will be picking a subscriber and getting them their favorite fighter's t-shirt. All right. So we can discuss afterwards, but 2 rules. 1, this needs to get 100 likes. 2nd rule, you must be subscribed to the channel, and then also following on Twitter, bros_lunch. Okay. And also,
with my poorly lit face on it, obviously
yes.
We'll push over that like.
Yeah, with the dichotomy in the lighting here between that and this. But also, there's timestamps down at the bottom of this. So if you are interested in a particular fight, all you have to go is into the description and look at the timestamp. Click the timestamp, and then it'll take you to the discussion of that fight. Yep, let's go. Oh, and if you want to just listen to this and you don't want to watch it on YouTube, it should be up on Spotify and or wherever else you get your podcast, and vice versa. If you're listening to this, you can watch our video of the same thing, and you'll see some more diagrams and some statistics that I pull up while we're talking on YouTube. Cool. Housekeeping out of the way. Let's get going. Main event, Covington versus Masvidal. The friendship torn asunder. The training partners no longer training partners. Here, I'll give my opinion on it a second. What was your feeling of the lead up to this fight?
It's hard for me with Kobe stuff because, like, I don't know. I don't get drawn into the facade, and especially because it's too like
fake.
Yeah, like it's too WWE, and it's interesting because like Masvidal. Sometimes it's like, no, I can actually buy that this person doesn't like the other person. And I don't know how much of that is him actually not liking Kobe or him not liking the game that he has to play with him. Of he knows how hard Kobe's going to talk trash. So he has to bring it it's just the fakeness, but also sometimes not fakeness and how it mixes in. It's like, it's a weird mix when you got someone who is legitimately, tough, grew up on the streets. When they talk trash, it's real versus someone putting on a show. Like mixing those two things together is always kind of weird for me.
Yeah, I've spoken on this before. I feel like Jorge Masvidal is not someone I'm sure he's a pleasant guy, most of the time, and I'm sure he has a lot of very close friends and family and whatever. It's just one of those people who seems to take himself very seriously and can't really take a joke and or play.
He doesn't want to play that game.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, so like he doesn't want to play that game, and that's fine. He's a genuine person, and I said this before. I appreciate his genuine nature and him portraying himself in an honest way. That being said, I don't think I would want to ever hang out with a guy. Like, not that I have to do that. It's just,
I don't know. I bet he'd be a great time at a barbecue.
Yeah, until you say something about his shoes, and then he wants.
Why would you say something about his shoes?
Right, that's what I'm saying. So now I gotta censor myself around this guy, and
you say things about other people's shoes a lot. What are we doing here?
Sure, yes, absolutely. If you wear a pair of goofy sneakers, I'm gonna say something. Or like you wear a pair of New Balance and you're at my grill, I'm like, hey, you belong here. Look at those shoes. What are you saying, man? You saying I can't wear it? I'm like, all right, you know what? Forget everything I just said. I'll just go stand somewhere else. It's just I don't. This is beyond the point.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think he's a bad person necessarily, right? This whole play up of Kobe going after him and saying like, oh, he's been to jail and this and that. I'm sure he's had dust ups in the past, and he's coming from an impoverished neighborhood, coming from, the old school fight leagues where he was fighting for, the one that Dada 5000 was running. He was running with Kimbo Slice. Not the greatest place to grow up. It's just, that is what it is. This lead up made me kind of sick. Like I never liked Kobe's bullshit. I don't like his fake shtick. I don't like any of that stuff. And this lead up, because it was genuine from both sides, it made me feel gross. It's almost like watching family members fight at a gathering, but not your family, right? Like another family comes.
That is the most awkward thing in the world when you're watching like a clear like family spat and you have no relation whatsoever and you're just like, it's time for me to leave.
Right, but you can't because they're in your house. Like, so that's what I felt like leading up to this. These guys are discussing things that are very personal to them, and they're honest stories or not, or they're played up or not. It doesn't matter. They genuinely don't like each other anymore, and I'm sure they've had some spats in the past and whatever. It just feels like family members who are fighting each other because of personal shit, and then now that's just aired out in the public. I mean, I don't need a lead up to these fights. Like, I don't need that. I'm going to watch them regardless. So maybe it worked. We'll see about the pay-per-view numbers. I'm highly suspicious of that. We'll see. All of the lead up to this fight, Kobe said afterwards, this was one of his worst performances and he let the emotions get the best of him. And then Masvidal comes out and says, I was flat and I just didn't get the wrestling going. Obviously, we didn't even say who won. Kobe won by decision.
Yeah. Surprising nobody.
We'll break it down round by round, but what were your thoughts on the fight as a whole?
I mean, I kind of felt like they both were honest in their assessment of it. Like, it didn't feel like the best performance from either of them, but it pretty much happened exactly as I would expect it to happen. Kobe using his cardio and wrestling to dominate the fight and getting a clear decision without it being too exciting, with the exception of like a couple spats of flurries or like, some exchanges here and there. For the most part, it was how's Kobe's wrestling and cardio going to match up with Masvidal's ability to evade that or shut it down enough to where he makes a stand-up game, which he wasn't able to. So, yeah, it was not the most exciting fight, but it, maybe not even their best performance, but it was still a good showing. Like,
yeah, I mean, like, so right now I just pulled up the stats from the fight. So, significant strikes totals, like Covington threw 201 to Masvidal's 140, with the landing 94 to 67 in favor of Covington. So
it's like heavyweight numbers.
Wait, what? That's significant strikes, not totals.
Oh, sorry. I thought
total strikes, 218 to 90 in favor of Covington. That's total landed. Total thrown was 338 to 166. So here's to those people out there. I've seen some people on Twitter complaining, like, oh, I just saw one guy say, like, one guy went out there to fight, one guy went out there to hug the other dude. Can we please stop that shit? Like, you got to stop with that attitude. Yeah. It does not, this is not how that works anymore. Like, maybe you could have played that off as something that people thought was cool back in like 2008. It's, if you can't wrestle and you get out wrestled, you just lose the fight, right? That is a fight.
It's a sport. It's a strategy. It works
and
really well if you can deliver.
Masvidal talking shit after the fight. Dude, you had 25 minutes, man. You just were in there for 25 minutes. What is another 5 minutes going to do? How long do we have to do this until you catch a shot and then get, like, not lucky, but you
had the opportunity to clearly win exchanges that, there were exchanges that he didn't win. So yeah. It's not like he was dominating the stand-up when there was stand-up.
So the first round was a little, not lackluster. That's not the way I would put it. But the striking numbers were in favor of Kobe, 7-6, right? Because George came out and threw that stupid karate bullshit, like that flying scissor kick thing. I don't know what the fuck that was. It was so dumb. Anyway,
Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, Jorge was landing some good leg kicks and wobbled Kobe a bit early on, and then Kobe was in on the waist and grapple heavy and got his first takedown at 310. Back up and down multiple times until like the 30-second mark when they finally got up. Colby did a little bit of damage, but standard Colby Covington damage, right? He was doing not pity-pat. Yeah, I wouldn't say pity-pat, but they were constant tapping during that control time. So I gave him that first round. Like, there were some good shots while Colby was standing up, but, more of the damage from that was just because he was on top in control and landing overall damage. 10-9, easy Colby. Second round, Jorge was kicking at the legs, trying to take out the movement and the pressure, and then there was a nut shot by Colby Covington, so that was fun. And then Colby fell down, or he fell from a kick, right? This sequence was very interesting. So he fell from a kick, and like a miss and a slip, and then he ended up on the ground. Jorge made the mistake of engaging Colby and pushing onto him and trying to get on top.
Don't do that.
Colby just on all fours with, Jorge, they're in the not the north-south position, but they're head-to-head. And Colby on all fours just drove forward, drove him to the fence, grabbed a leg, and got on top. Right? So in the second round, this is the one where there were some big shots from both guys, and there was, more control time from Colby. But I actually gave the second round to Masvidal. And
I think one of the judges did too.
And if you look right here on this, if you look at the numbers here, my assessment seems to be in the correct one, 31-20 for Jorge Masvidal, and he was landing as significant, if not more significant, strikes. Third round, Colby Covington, total domination.
Yep. And I saw some people complaining about half-ass submission attempts.
They're not submission attempts.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. Like, it's not that it's a submission attempt. It's essentially keeping yourself engaged in the fight and working. I mean, it's working the system.
Right. So the third round was, when he's on top like that, when he's not under the chin, but, just doing neck cranks left and right, I don't even think it's working the system. It's exhausting. It's also, it's a way to wear on your opponent. It's cross-facing. Yes. It's making them work, making them worried about the choke, putting pressure on the neck. It's not comfortable, not allowing them to breathe properly. That's like saying jabs to the body aren't effective. Like, as damage doers, no, they're not. But as making them not be able to breathe normally and wearing on their cardio, I'd say they're very effective. So it's one of those things where it's just an effective grappling technique that he's using that doesn't lose him position.
I would say equivalent to a strike versus a significant strike. So,
sure,
ground activity versus significant ground activity.
That's a good way to put it. I would say it's good ground activity. It's just keeping the fight going. He's not working for a finish in that position. Like, he's not looking for a submission to finish the fight, but he's looking to stay in a dominant position. Dude, the fact that people they just find a way to shit on him because they don't like the way he does stuff outside the octagon, which is, I'm not a fan of it either, guys. Like, I don't like the guy. I don't like his shit. I don't like this stuff. I don't like this played up for TV nonsense. It makes me feel gross watching this, and I'm watching like the before and the after, and he's calling out Dustin Poirier and making fun of his wife and his kid. Like, dude, I don't like the guy. I'm not rooting for him to win necessarily. I'm not rooting for him to lose. It's just when he's in there fighting, it's incredible what he's able to do to these other guys. You know how hard it is to hold Masvidal down? Like, even Kamaru Usman had problems doing that.
Masvidal is not bad at wrestling.
No,
in any form or fashion. They just always considered one of his strongest tool sets, along with his striking, was his wrestling.
Yeah, and that the third round with the domination from Covington up until the point where Jorge clipped him with I think it was a right hand, and he dropped to a knee. Colby dropped to a knee and then hopped right back up. Like, he did damage, and he did, you can call that a knockdown if you want. But the overall damage I still gave to Colby. And then the last two rounds was more of the same. And we can look at the striking numbers here again. 33-21 in the fourth round, and then the fifth round 13-1 in favor of Colby Covington. Just the amount of control time, 16 minutes out of the 25 minutes was control time. Colby Covington just dominating pretty much start to finish when it came to like grappling and control of the fight, where he was dictating where it took place. And yes, maybe he didn't land the biggest punch, but he was also, total striking numbers. He landed more strikes too. And standing striking numbers, he was keeping up with Masvidal on the feet. Like, he landed some big shots.
Plus control of the fight, takedowns, damage on the ground. I don't think there's not any doubt that he won the fight, is there? Like, I don't even think I saw that.
No,
like, there might be some people upset with the way he won it, but I mean, yeah, it was.
No, there's people saying that specifically, they're saying that he didn't come out there to fight. He came out there to like hug on him or whatever. But even if you have that opinion, and I'll consider that opinion valid, it's still wrong because he outlanded him in strikes.
But it's also like, it's not a fight. Like,
it is a fight.
Well, like a fight is a fight. It's still a sport.
Well, yeah, there's rules, but
exactly. There's rules. There's point systems. There's ways to win. Like, it is fighting, but ultimately there's strategy to it because of the way the rules are set up and the different strategies that are effective. And he just has a very effective strategy.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, like that's still a way to fight if you want to quantify it that way. And guess what? In a real world fight, his strategy is also probably super effective.
Yeah, it was super effective.
One-on-one, taking someone to the ground, holding them on the ground, and not letting them do what they want. Also a very effective fight strategy.
Yeah,
right?
And guess what? In a real fight, I hate that word. It's so stupid. I don't like talking about it every time, but like we can talk about it specifically right now. In a real world fight or like real fighting, guess what? There's also no rules for you. So when I'm sitting on top of you, I can knee you in the head. Or I could just sit there literally forever and make you tired until you can't do anything because no ref is going to stand us up for lack of activity. Yep. No one's going to stop me from gouging your eyes out on top. No one's going to stop me from throwing knees to your head on the ground. No one's going to have, like, that pendulum swings both ways, right? You don't get to pick and choose like, oh, well, in a real world fight, you wouldn't be able to just hold him down. Why not? He just did it for 25 fucking minutes.
To someone with incredible cardio. Like
great cardio, great takedown defense, been fighting since he was a child.
Yes.
And
someone who can fight.
They train together. So, he knows the game.
Yeah. He knew what to prepare for. If you don't know what to prepare for with Colby Covington, I don't know what universe you're living on. He's not going to come in there like John Jones and throw a strike you've never seen before. His game plan, and he's going to do it so good that you can't even beat it unless you're Kamaru Usman.
Yeah, and even Kamaru, there is, that last fight with Kamaru Usman was razor thin. It was very close. The first one was close up until, they called it. It's just that second fight with Kamaru Usman, I think, solidified in my mind how close they are as competitors because there's ways to score it. I didn't score it for Covington, but there were people scoring it who I respect their opinions, and they were calling out that, there's a way that, you call this for Covington based off of these rounds. I could go back and look at my notes, but we're not doing that right now. But anyway, dominant performance by Colby Covington, and then he proceeds to call out Dustin Poirier. I think the reason for that is that he wants the Usman fight. And we know that Burns fighting Khamzat Chimaev. I'll pull up the rankings for you folks. Burns is fighting Chimaev. Mm-hmm. Leon Edwards is supposed to fight for the title next. They're supposed they're supposed to be setting that up. But Usman has a injury that he's working through right now, so that extends that timeline. So. Who's Covington going to face? We were looking at the rankings here. Like, you got Covington 1, Burns is locked up, Edwards locked up at 3. You got 4, Vicente Luque. What's the point of going down there and fighting him? Like, he's not. I mean, actually, that might be a fine fight. Bilal Muhammad could make sense. But then he just beat Jorge Masvidal, who's ranked 6. Thompson, that's not happening. Thompson's not challenging for the title anytime soon, so why should he be fighting the number 1 contender? Neil Magny's not up there, and Sean Brady's just coming up, and then now we're too far gone. Like, this ain't happening. Like there's a lot of variables in here as far as the top 5 go, and I don't think that Covington fighting any of them makes sense for him if his ultimate goal is just to fight Usman next. So when he calls out Dustin Poirier, I think that's a cash grab. It's fine. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's just,
I think of the people not named Kamaru Usman in the realm of who he could fight, I feel like short of him calling out Conor, like Poirier is probably the most reasonable fight that is going to get him the largest pay-per-view.
And because Poirier has been not necessarily talking shit, but basically saying like anytime, anywhere type of stuff. So
yeah.
I mean, he officially is called out. So there you go. What is it? I mean, we kind of just talked about what that means for the division, but I mean, what do you think Covington versus Usman ever happens again?
Yes.
You do?
Yep.
Do you think it's for the title?
Yes.
Ooh. I would say if I was leaning towards it happens again, I would say that it doesn't happen for a title, and it's because Usman was lost his title, and there's a situation where they're fighting for the number one contender spot or a title shot or something like that. But, I mean, I could also see, Covington fighting Usman a third time. It's just with so many challengers and so many fresh matchups now, I think that there's a good way. I mean, there's a lot of these fighters who, a year from now are going to be in the title picture. Like, if you look all the way down at number 15, Shavkat Rakhmonov, he's undefeated. He has nothing but finishes, and he's impressive with the way we're talking highlight reel finishes every single time.
Oh,
so
and you still have Gilbert Burns in the mix. You still have.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
there's a lot of stuff here because Gilbert Burns rocked Usman, and barring the stupid falling down and getting kicked in the butt for 45 seconds, maybe he finishes that fight and gets the title.
And I mean, like, even though he just lost, you still have Stephen Thompson in the mix. Like, he could win his next 3 fights and be right back up there.
I'm over that one now. And not that listen, I am one of the biggest Stephen Thompson fans because I love his style. I love who he is as a person, what he does for, like, everything about him and his career and all that stuff. I love all of it. While Usman is still champion or Burns is still champion or in that title picture, I kind of don't want to see him fight for a title because we know how it's going to go. He's going to get taken down, and that's going to be the whole fight. Nobody can keep up with him on the feet, or very few people can keep up with him on the feet.
No one wants to try him on the feet.
Yeah.
Let's just be straight with that.
Yeah, so I'm just, we've seen him get out-wrestled over and over again. I'm okay with him, calling it quits as far as, like, title runs. Because even, like, Bilal Muhammad was able to out-wrestle him. So, let's not – I wouldn't throw him in there as of right now. All right. I mean, like I said, Covington, it's hard for me to follow his story and root for him because I think he's kind of gone not over the line as far as saying stuff because I don't think there is a line you can cross. Like, that's not what I mean.
I don't think it's the content. I think it's the corniness. I think it was interesting for a minute, but I almost think the sport has kind of passed up that type of showmanship. I think it got old, and it stopped being interesting and original, and now it's just kind of, we get it.
The thing
like is, it had shock value, but the shock value has waned to the point where it's just not as interesting.
Yeah, and you keep having to. The problem with this kind of marketing strategy, because that's what he's doing. He's marketing himself. Yeah. Is if your whole thing is I'm gonna be the shock and awe guy, I'm gonna be the one who says outlandish shit.
I mean, it's Jackass 3. Well, what are you going to do to up the next stuff?
That's what I'm saying. It's like eventually you're to the point where, like, as far as Jackass goes, like, are we just going to kill a guy? Like, is that what we do next? Let's try to dodge bullets. Like, for him now, he's like he has talked about people's families in the past, but mentioning people's kids and saying, like, dude, like I said, I don't think there's a line. I think you say what you want to say, and people can choose whether or not to like you for saying that thing. I'm completely fine with that. But this stuff makes me, like, I hate watching it now.
See, I disagree with that. I do think there is a line, but I don't necessarily think it's a line in terms of, like, oh, you're not allowed to fight anymore because you say that. I think it's a line about what draws people. After a certain point, you have crossed the marketing line of what you're saying or what you're doing to where it has a negative impact.
How do you know when it crosses the line?
I mean, ultimately, how's his draw been? Like, I haven't really done a deep dive into the numbers he's bringing in, but
it's hard to tell because he's usually not the marquee, and when he is, there's usually other stuff on the card.
Yeah,
and I
I mean,
think
I
he's
guess you
a
could look at
okay
like
draw.
social media interest, or like I would say even of the talk he's doing right now. There was a time where you heard about him outside the UFC, where like there was casual fans
Oh, that's
or people
yes.
that weren't fans really talking about him as a person. I didn't see any of that prior to this fight.
No.
I'm not seeing any coverage outside of like UFC, like
MMA
news.
media.
Yeah, and
Yep.
outside of MMA media for things he said about Dustin Poirier's kids or wife, like that. That's not breaking through the zeitgeist. So obviously, you know, there's a staleness to it, or there's a line to it that he's, even if he didn't cross it, what he is doing, what he was doing before, is no longer effective.
Yeah, I just like I said, I'm burnt out on it. I hate following him. I hate I enjoy watching him fight because I think what he does is very impressive. But unlike certain people that we'll talk about him later on this card, Kevin Holland, who talks nonstop, even in fights, dude, he just nonstop talks. It's fun to listen to him talk because he's a fun guy. He's talking like, it's fun to listen to him. Even when he talks shit, he's still fun.
Yeah.
It makes it interesting. It makes him
Well, it's natural versus forced.
that yeah.
Yeah, like the
All right, I think I think we're good on this one. I don't
yeah.
want. It's making me like all this stuff is just making me mad.
It's not fun to talk about
No,
because it's just draining.
I can't stand him anymore. Not
Uh,
that I ever could. It's just gross. All right. Anyway, moving on. Let us talk about the co-main event. Renato Moicano stepping up on short notice to fight Dos Anjos. Now, for a little bit of backstory here, Dos Anjos was scheduled to fight Benil Dariush, and then Dariush. Nope, my bad. Whoop, flip that around. No, Dariush was supposed to fight Islam Makhachev last week, right? And then, or is it 2 weeks? It doesn't matter. Anyway, he fell out, so Makhachev had to fight someone else, and now he had to fight Bobby Green. And then this comes around. Dos Anjos is supposed to fight Rafael Fiziev. Okay. And he was training for him for a very long time. Fiziev got COVID, so he had to fall out. So then Islam Makhachev, he was like, oh, hey, I challenge you. Like, I'll step up. Let's do this at 170. And then RDA was like, okay, let's go. Let's go. And then turns out, well, obviously he didn't fight Islam. So what happened? Islam turned down the fight. He was offered the fight, and he turned it down. So, all this boisterous and outgoing and all this like talk and all this bullshit, when it came to signing his name on the dotted line, whether he needed to or not, I don't care. It's just he was talking all this shit, saying let's go, and then turned down the fight. I mean, RDA is legit. He's a gangster. Like, he is what all the
and how short a notice again was it
a week.
for? Yeah,
Or a week and a half.
I think it was short of 2 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah, he was ready to go. Dude, RDA was said, fine, let's go. And then, a couple
Who's
days
got more
later,
to lose?
Yeah. And then they throw in Moicano, and now, we get this fight, which was
Fine.
just, I mean, we could talk, the first round was, I'm going to pull up the stats here. So the first round was I wouldn't say competitive, but the first round, Renato Moicano moved out, and he was trying to push the pace and do all this stuff. But the problem was, I think he overexerted himself a little bit early on, and then it got taken down, and he was down for a little bit of time in the first round. Dos Anjos just landed some cleaner strikes, had more control. First round, 22-10 in favor of Dos Anjos. Then over the next 3 rounds, okay. I broke them all down round by round, but we don't need to get into it. Over the next 3 rounds, 2, 3, and 4, they went 27-15, 40-15, and 22-12. Okay, in those exchanges and in those rounds, we saw a ton of damage coming from RDA and not a lot coming back at him. Now, Moicano had a few shots here and there in those rounds, but there was talk of, hey, do we stop this fight? And even before the 5th round, Mark Goddard went over to Moicano and said, hey, if you don't show me something, I'm stopping this fight. You got 30 seconds to show me something. I thought that was an interesting approach. I don't necessarily disagree with it. I thought it was interesting. I'd like to think about it a little bit more before I outright disagree with it or agree with it about the implications.
Because that's so subjective. So it's a rough. I could see the issues with setting that type of standard or precedent in a fight.
Right. That's why I'm saying I think it requires some more thought. It's not something that I'm just going to outright disagree with. I thought it was just interesting that he did that. Obviously, it was a decision. Dos Anjos dominated 4 of the rounds. In the 5th round, Moicano had his best moments. He was landing big shots, good combos, doing damage, and doing enough work here to make it interesting. I actually gave the last round to Moicano, but I also gave Dos Anjos 2 10-8 rounds in the process. Other than that, so I had it 49-44, and it's just this fight was very weird to me because I think if that last round, like if the fight got stopped, I think Dos Anjos gains more from this fight.
Mm-hmm.
But because of that last round and he took all that damage, it really takes away like a lot of the luster. And now we're in a situation similar to the Leon Edwards-Nate Diaz fight where he dominated most of the time, takes a few shots in the end, and it hurts his progress towards the title.
Who's on top at the end of the fight does make a difference.
When it comes to public perception and title shots, yeah, absolutely.
Right. That's the game. Like, obviously, fight to fight is fight to fight, but if you're trying to make it back to the belt, that's still part of what you got to take into account.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. So you're right, because public perception as far as like who's on top at the end of the fight, that does matter, because that can if you're vying for a title shot versus your contemporaries and they're having more less competitive fights and they're more dominant in their in their outings, well, now all of a sudden you look fine, but compared to the people who are also vying for the title, you no longer look as good. Now in the fight, who's on top at the end doesn't matter. Like that, we know that it's it's a cumulative thing. It's a total. So, but anyway, I'm trying to pull up his freaking record and it's not pulling up.
Who, Dos Anjos?
Yeah. I'm trying to pull up his record because it's very impressive. But over the last couple, I think he's 2-2, or maybe he's 3-2 now. But I know that
he's had a bunch of canceled. So his last one he lost was Michael Chiesa.
Chiesa. Yeah.
Great with names, but because he had Islam Makhachev canceled 2020 too.
Twice, and this was the 3rd time they tried to make it.
Yep, and he beat Felder in his last fight.
Yes.
Yeah, but then lost the 2 prior to that. So lost to Leon Edwards.
He lost to Leon Edwards. So he's looking to make his way to a title shot. So he's got 3 in a row now. Right? Yeah, the Paul Felder, the Chiesa, and then now with Moicano. So
he's got 2 in a row.
3. What did he?
He lost to Michael Chiesa.
Did he?
Yep.
Oh, poop. Never mind. Okay.
Yeah.
Never mind. Well, that sucks. Anyway.
Yeah, because he lost to Leon Edwards and Michael Chiesa back to back.
So him being ranked at number 6, I don't know if he moves up after this weekend. It's hard.
It's hard with how deep that division is.
Yeah, Michael Chandler, Beneil Dariush, Islam Makhachev, Dustin Poirier, and Justin Gaethje all ahead of him. Gaethje's next for the title. Makhachev is banging on that door, but he has been told that he's going to be fighting Beneil Dariush, basically for turning down this fight.
Oh, which I hate, but that's fine.
No, okay. I'm gonna defend that decision because he was supposed to fight Beneil Dariush to begin with. Beneil had to fall out. He fell out because of injury. So, yeah, that's on Beneil, whatever.
Yep.
But then Islam could have said nothing about this weekend. He could have said nothing, and I bet you he would be next in line for the title shot still. But instead, he ran his mouth, and then RDA called his bluff. And now, that might just seem like Twitter or social media bullshit, but here's the thing. If you, as a organization matchmaker, see a fighter throw his hat into the ring and basically say, I'm interested in this fight, and now you move you move the pieces forward, especially if it's a fight that was supposed to happen before and it makes sense. Cool. Let's get this done. And now I'm moving pieces around. There's promotional things that need to happen in order for this fight to take place. And I start to move towards those things because I'm expecting you to sign on the dotted line. And then you don't. Like that shows like not a lack of character, but
man, I would get that if he wasn't an independent contractor.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay.
Yeah, I'm a play that game right now, and I'm just like, you know what? He didn't sign shit. That's the UFC's fault for moving pieces before they had his signature.
Okay, fine. All right, yeah. Mister. I'm on the side of the workers here.
Listen, you want to make them employees of UFC? You could do that.
Somebody needs to represent big business. Okay, they don't get enough representation, and that's me.
They really don't, and I appreciate you for
so bad.
For licking Dana White's boots, when you have to.
Come on now.
I don't know. No, I respect where you're coming from with that because he did talk shit.
Yes.
And then not back it up.
Yes.
But that's still Twitter. That's not business.
I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care. And that's why I'm saying, and here's the thing, is it's not a punishment. This is a fight that was supposed to take place anyway. Instead, you fought a guy who isn't even ranked or barely ranked, right? You were supposed to fight a number one contender or a title eliminator fight. And here's the thing, you've shown that you're ready to go right now, so we can match you up again with Beneil Dariush relatively soon once Beneil is healthy. We already have a title fight lined up anyway between Gaethje and him, so there we go. Like, let's just make that happen. And plus, Islam Makhachev's record up until now, it's good. It's good. He's good. He's very good, all that stuff. I'm not going to downplay it, but it's not like one of those ones where he's been knocking out nothing but the best of the best in the division nonstop, and like he's been denied the title shot like Tony Ferguson. Like, that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about a guy who is very popular, who's gotten a big jump up in rankings and then got to skip the line because of his association and also his fight skill. Anyway, all right, so great win for Dos Anjos. I'm going to pose this to you, and then I'm going to go away for 5 seconds. I'm going to pose this to you. Do you think RDA ever fights for a title in the UFC ever again?
No. So
say something more.
Why I am going to say no. I don't feel like he is going to be able to string together enough. Even for his ranking right now, I actually I feel like he's overranked for the lightweight division. If you take a look at his previous fights between welterweight and lightweight, I don't necessarily think he's proven enough to be ranked among or above Dan Hooker, above Tony Ferguson in the lightweight division. I mean, even putting him ahead of Conor McGregor for me is still kind of, I would have some questions about it. Now, because of how stacked it is, because of how hard you've got to grind through to get to a lightweight championship, because of the Conor factor, because at any point in time, the entire division can be interrupted by, they just feel like throwing Conor McGregor in, which delays everyone else's chances of getting there. I don't buy that Dos Anjos is going to find his way there again. So ultimately, all right, cool. He beat Paul Felder and Kevin Lee and Robbie Lawler and, his last string of fights. But ultimately, he has not shown anything in lightweight that makes me think that he deserves to be in even the ranking he's at right at this time in comparison to everyone else.
So before this,
my whole argument was that he was overranked.
No, I hear it. I know exactly what you're saying.
Yes.
Before this weekend, I would have heavily disagreed with you because I was kind of blinded by, his career, right? His career stats as opposed.
I love Rafael Dos Anjos. He's always been one of my favorite fighters.
Yeah, he's the.
So I don't want this to be a slight against him or his career.
Yeah, no.
But I think
I know what you're saying.
Yeah, I think his best days are past him. And I don't think he has done enough in the last 5 years in the lightweight division to have the ranking that he should have.
All right. So what I was going to say, I wrote down some of the notes from the fight. He's the 7th fighter to have 1,500 plus significant strikes in the UFC. What's the other one? Man, he did another thing. Oh, he's the 13th fighter with over 60 takedowns in the UFC. And he made, if he fights one more time, he's going to pass up Frankie Edgar for most time in the octagon. It's
which is awesome.
That's what I'm saying is, like, I think a lot of, I was not thinking straight. I got in arguments on Twitter. One of them I said something to Bilal Muhammad, and he tweeted back at me I think he was kind of pissed. Because I basically said there's no upside to this. Like, he should just wait and, like, fight one more person and get a title shot. And Bilal Muhammad's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, oh, geez. Well, the thing is, like, he trains very close to here. So, like...
so you might have to run into him at the grocery store.
Well, that's what I'm saying is, like, if we happen to run into each other...
he won't know who you are because you don't look like Mario on Twitter.
That's a good point. He would kick my ass so bad. But anyway, that was a good fight. I mean, for Dos Anjos, Moicano made it interesting. We don't have to have that discussion of whether or not they should have thrown in the towel. I don't have feelings about that on this one. Let's move on to Bryce Mitchell versus Edson Barbosa.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Bryce Mitchell versus Edson Barbosa. We had Bryce coming in with a lot of experience recently with like higher levels of competition, but not the level of experience, obviously, that Edson Barbosa has. So this was a big step up in competition for him. Wow, this isn't even now. My stuff isn't even working. Yeah. That's great.
I might have to step out for like 5 minutes as they're talking about this.
What the heck? This is great. This is awesome. I love these technical difficulties. This is fantastic. Yeah. Anyway, so I guess I won't be showing the stats on screen. Anyway.
Tisk.
All right, let me know when you're back.
Oh, I'm still here right now. I'm waiting on a text. I'm cleaning out my home gym right now and selling a bunch of stuff.
Oh, well, just bring it home and bring it back to me. I need it for my gym. I'm sure it'd be super cheap.
Yeah.
So Bryce Mitchell started with a hook kick, which was hilarious. I thought that was really funny, coming out against Edson Barbosa throwing kicks. Mitchell is taking the center and keeping Edson Barbosa on the racetrack on the outside of the octagon. So he was putting forward pressure, which is a for sure way to limit Edson's effectiveness. And then he landed a really good left hand that put Edson down, and then Edson got right back up, and then there was a takedown at like 305. There's a decent amount of damage. From Bryce in that process. Big right hand from Barbosa made Bryce take a little bit of a pause at about 8 seconds with left in the first round. So, there was some damage coming back at him, but I don't think it was enough to outweigh everything that Bryce Mitchell did. So Mitchell getting the first round 10-9 in my opinion. Edson Barbosa overextended on a kick and got taken down at 440 in the second round. So immediately as that second round starts, he gets taken down, and you can kind of see where this is going from there. Didn't get back up until 148, and then right back down. There was a fence grab from Barbosa that didn't really count for anything. Didn't matter. It's still cheating, and he didn't get caught. Cool. 2018 to Bryce Mitchell. Third round, more of the same. Mitchell ducked under a hook and got a takedown at 358, and then Barbosa never got up for the rest of that round. So him taking all 3 rounds, in my opinion, 30-27. I think this was a great win for Bryce Mitchell. I thought he looked really good. I think Edson Barbosa, I don't necessarily think he's done. I don't think he's done in the UFC. I don't think he's done his career. I think he's still has a lot to look forward to, especially because he's still competitive in this division. It's really just it comes down to, is he going to challenge for a title ever again? Is he going to move forward in this division and start taking on the number one contenders? Is he going to fight Jose Aldo or something like that? I just don't think that's going to happen anymore. I wish he could, because I think that would be really interesting. I think he's still like I said, like a great challenge for most of these fighters in this division. And we're looking, let's see here. Looking at featherweight, there's a lot of good matchups that he can still go for, right? Edson Barbosa is obviously going to move down. Bryce Mitchell is going to move up. They might switch places 10 and 11 here. There's lots of other fun fights in here that people coming up. I think there's a lot of fun fights. I've said enough about that. I think going forward, it's just his chances of going and challenge for the title are pretty much gone now. I don't see a way he beats a lot of these guys in the top of this division. I mean, he could have some fun fights, but him getting that opportunity, I think, has passed him. So it's unfortunate being an Edson Barbosa fan, seeing an era kind of come to an end, but it is what it is. As far as Bryce Mitchell goes, though, big step up in competition, great win for him. I think, next for him, you could put him against a Giga Chikadze. You could put him against an Arnold Allen. I wouldn't put him up against Josh Emmett because I feel Josh Emmett has earned, the right to fight people pretty much ranked above him and fighting for a title shot. So Bryce Mitchell going forward, I think, is ready to definitely take someone on in the top 10 because he probably will be ranked 10 after this weekend. And Giga Chikadze coming off of a loss makes sense. Dan Ige would make sense. Arnold Allen makes sense. These are all good fights for him. I think any one of these guys makes sense. And then, he gets I think he's 2 wins away from being in the title picture because he's basically only going to be fighting top 10, top 5 opponents moving forward. So Bryce Mitchell has a bright future. He's a really tricky opponent to have. And if he can put up performances like this where he just dominates people on the ground or he's competent enough on the feet to keep it going, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with him going forward. So I don't know what his ceiling is. I don't think he's a world beater. I think he'll have competitive fights against people. So I don't think he's shutting anybody out necessarily like he did to Edson Barbosa. I think he was just Barbosa's poison. So we'll see going forward.
Yeah. What you said.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk about the opening fight on the main card here. I would love for this internet to work, but it doesn't seem to be wanting to do that, so we're going to go just off my notes. Sergey Spivac taking on Dan Hardy. So it was interesting that this was the first fight of the main card. I don't necessarily agree with that placement. I would not have put I think Dan Hardy has overstayed his welcome as far as an attraction. I think he's overstayed his welcome as a main card competitor, especially on a pay-per-view.
Yes.
I think his record being what it is now, just losing, this was the last fight on his current contract. Hardy, he was getting a healthy amount of booze before this fight, so that was fun.
The time for him to develop into someone that can compete in a ranked fashion or competitive fashion in the UFC, I think has expired. He was given a lot of leeway that other fighters from a smaller organization without a popular background would have not gotten, which is understandable given the name, but I think we're kind of past that point.
Yeah, I think it's time to move on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to talk too much about this one because I think he oh, crap, we missed one. Oops, it's fine. We'll flip around the order here.
We'll go back to Kevin.
No, we'll finish this. I'm ready. I'm ready for
I don't think there's a lot to say about the heavyweight fight.
Yeah, I'm ready for the Hardy experiment to be over. I think, he showed a lot of promise early on, but I don't think he's advanced ever past that promise.
Or just move him down to where he should be on prelims.
Yeah.
Or fight night prelims.
Yeah, I would. I would.
If he's serious about staying in the game, there's a place for him, and it's not on paper.
It's actually not in the UFC. That's what it is.
Yeah.
It's stupid. I bet you he's getting paid way too much to be in there. I don't like it. I don't want to see him fight anymore. I didn't give him leeway necessarily. I was more impressed by the way he was able to stay in there with people like Alexander Volkov, right?
Mm-hmm.
People that are not Alexander Volkov. Is that his name? It's Volkov. Anyway, him being able to stay in there with some of these like legit heavyweight competitors with a lot of experience, I was impressed initially, but I can see, and I also said for a long time, he didn't have that thing. He still needed to improve. He just hasn't. I think it's time to cut ties, go a different way.
Yep.
All right, so let's talk about the fight that I skipped that actually is really good. Kevin Holland taking on Alex Oliveira, Cowboy Oliveira. Holland moving down to 170 pounds to take him on. So it's kind of interesting to see how easy it was for him. Didn't seem like a challenge. He said it's not a big deal. He was able to make weight super easy, he said. Oh, yeah, you can see my cardio gear in the background there. In this fight, Holland started with kicks going high, keeping the range, but his when he was rushing in, he was kind of naked on his rush and he was exposed. Not the best strategy from him. And he talked about it after the fight that he had like some nervous energy in it, for fighting at 170, getting used to it. He came out flat and kind of slow. Low kick from Charles. It was not Charles. Well, low kick from Alex at about 250. Holland went down and then dove on a leg and then back up with Alex throwing him back down. It was, classic Holland stuff, where he's being awkward and moving around, and I think he's shown improvement. It's hard to know because Alex Oliveira isn't the best grappler in the world, nor is he the best wrestler in the world. So I can't say just from this fight whether or not his ground game has improved enough to challenge the people in this welterweight division, because there's nothing but killers who can grapple as far as the top 10 and top 15 go. So it's hard to call from this fight. But Alex Oliveira looked very good in this fight. Nothing. I'm not taking anything away from him, and that it shows you how much more impressive Holland was, especially in that. Like, I gave the first round to Alex Oliveira hands down. I wrote Charles a bunch of times, not even thinking about it. His freaking name is Alex Oliveira. So the first round easily went to Alex 10-9, but in the second round, Holland was taking shots to that lead leg, and then a big shot from him put Alex down, and then Oliveira gets TKO'd from Holland with a short right hook. There was a short right hook in commotion from Holland. It was super super well placed and landed right on the nose and put him down. And then his post fight thing made me laugh, where he's like, I wanted to eat cookies and not care about cutting weight and be a champ at 185, and then take it seriously, become a real athlete, and then cut weight down to 170 and get a belt here too. So I love the way he put that. I think it was very honest, and I really love that dude. I love watching him fight. I love watching him build up fights. I love watching him post fight. He's super fun.
Yeah, I agree. That was a fun fight, and like you said, which sounds like you touched on, still a good performance outside the TKO from Oliveira. But I don't know what.
I don't know if he still has fights left on his contract, but I was
gonna say, what do you think is next for him? 'Cause he's been around for a minute.
Yeah, I remember when he made his UFC debut against Gilbert Burns, and he gave him a real scare because he showed up on short notice and almost finished Burns, but ended up getting finished himself, and he's just been a fan favorite ever since then. Always kind of a tough out for everybody, fighting at lightweight and then moving up to 170 because he didn't want to cut weight anymore. It's just, his story is relatively interesting because he's fun to watch. He has some fun fights. He wins when he's not supposed to. He loses when he's supposed to win. It's journeyman is a great word for him. I think he's a fun fighter. He always steps up when he needs to, as far as like being there to fight.
Do you want to see a rematch of the Cowboys?
No.
I don't know.
I'm good.
That's the only thing I can really think of as like a fun thing he could do would be to run that back and redo the Cowboy title. But
I mean, I'm okay with him calling it a career at this point. As far as the UFC goes, I don't know if he's ever challenging anybody in the top 15.
And that's 4 in a row that he's lost.
And like, if that's not the end of his UFC contract, maybe he finishes out whatever contract he's on, and then that's kind of it for him. So, nothing against him. He's been fighting really good fighters, and that's kind of the way this shit goes. If you fight nothing but, up and comers and young fighters, maybe you extend your UFC career, which is what happens with a lot of veterans. But if you're just fighting people who are title contenders and short notice fights and stuff like that, and you rack up 3, 4, maybe 5 losses in a row, you might get cut, even though you could have been easily getting wins against other less skilled opponents in that division. So it sucks. It is what it is. I wouldn't mind seeing him. I like watching him fight. I think he's a fine fighter. I just don't. I think title is never. That's never going to happen. I don't even think he'll ever make it in the top 10 ever again.
Fair assessment.
Sounds depressing. I don't mean it in that way. I don't think it's happening. Okay. Mullarkey. What is Mullarkey's first name? And
Jamie?
Turner.
Jamie Mullarkey.
Yeah, I can't pull it up. And I don't write first names down because I'm a doof. Anyway, Jamie Mullarkey taking on, you said Kevin?
No, Jamie Mullarkey and Jalen Turner. I'm not sure how he pronounces it.
Oh, crud. Anyway.
Jalen? No, Jalen Turner.
Jalen Turner. Jalen Turner. Turner was using his range really early, keeping the range with the kicks and the jabs. There was a moment there where Mullarkey caught him, but that first round was clearly Turner's. It looked like, the second round was more of the same. Turner kind of did whatever he wanted. It was one of those ones where this is a bad matchup for Mullarkey, and Turner looked excellent. So I want to know what happens going forward as far as Turner goes, because I think, with his size in this division, he looks really good, but I want to see what happens when we raise the level of competition. I don't know if it's going to be as smooth for him. All right, so here's one. I mean, I know that the fight wasn't very long. There wasn't a ton to talk about.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't have anything to add on. It was...
Okay. Marina Rodriguez versus Yan Xiaonan. Yan Xiaonan. So why is this on the prelims? That makes no sense. We had Hardy on the frickin' pay-per-view, and this fight, which is essentially a title eliminator, with Yan. Let's see here. I'm going to pull this up for you guys. So as far as females go, I'm pretty sure they were 3 and 4. Yeah, they were. Okay, so Rodriguez was number 3. Xiaonan was 4 before this weekend.
Yep.
Why was this on the prelims? Don't know. We're talking about, like I said, a title eliminator fight.
Why was it not at least headlining the prelims?
Yeah,
that's like not just.
I don't know what the hell was going on. So what was interesting was, Yan kept taking the center and pushing Marina to the warning track. She was doing a really good job taking the center, being aggressive in that first round. There were a lot of hooks coming from Yan, but she threw them fast enough to kind of offset the fact that it's not taking a linear route. Normally, linear punches beat hooks, but Yan was so fast it didn't matter. Yan also got hit low, which is a very unique experience watching a female fight. You normally don't see that. And they said that women don't wear like a cup or a protective gear. They do make them. Like they do make protective gear for women to wear. So maybe it's super uncomfortable, or maybe they just don't feel like they need to. A lot of football players don't even wear cups because they're they like to live life dangerously. I know when I played, I never wore one. It bit me in the ass twice.
Oh, yeah.
I got hit with a football once and then with a heel another time. So it was not fun. Anyway, so she got hit low, which was interesting. And then it was just interesting to see in a female fight, like a stop for a low blow. It's just very, very weird. After the low blow, though, Marina kind of got on her horse and got real aggressive. So I did not like that. I have a real aversion to seeing fighters who did the crime, right? They're the one who commits the foul, and then with that break, they come out and look like a fucking banshee and go crazy. It's like
they get the rest and aggressiveness.
Yeah,
Kind of reinvigorated. It's like,
so like I'm not. I hate seeing that because that wouldn't have occurred if you didn't commit the foul.
so you're saying one person gets a break and the other person does burpees in the corner until the fight?
Make them do jumping jacks or some shit. Like, that's bullshit. They don't get to rest. That's not fair.
All right, you're gonna fight their corner man until they're ready.
You have to fight the ref. We're gonna bring in a sparring partner. Like, they have like someone sitting on the sideline ready to come in. So I gave that first round to Jan. How did you see it? Because this one went to a decision, and so I gave the first round to Jan. In the second round, Marina was doing a better job pushing forward. But for every shot she landed, it seemed like Jan landed more. And this is where I would love to have the striking fucking numbers up, but it's just not pulling up. Jan got the takedown at 230, but there's right back up at 210. No real damage there. Very close round down the stretch. Rodriguez was landing good damage. I could see it going her way, but Jan was out in front in the beginning of this round, and I think she won with the slight grappling exchanges when they did it. So I had her up 20-18. In the second round, like, I could see how someone gives it to Rodriguez, but I didn't. And then in the last round, Jan was no longer controlling the center of the octagon. She was the one on the back foot, and Rodriguez was landing the good shots. Jan wasn't moving her head anymore. They were both doing the showboating thing, pointing up in the air. Looked weird. Did not a fan. I thought it was stupid. They were having like really good exchanges. They were landing good shots, but Rodriguez, with the damage and in the third, definitely gave it to her, but I still had Jan winning 29-28. I said, like, I have to look at the numbers for that second round.
Yeah, the second round was hard. Like, at the end of the fight, like, I could definitely, if I was Jan, I could feel robbed, but at the same time, like, it's so, like, I mean, I hate to blame the judging system, but, like, it was not definitive enough for me to where it was a solid robbery.
No. I don't think there was a robbery or anything like that. I think it was really close.
Yeah.
But I just gave it to Jan. I think Jan did enough in that second round to get the nod. I did not like how confident Rodriguez looked. It like
at the end of the fight.
Yeah,
like that she had won.
Yeah, that she had done so much. Like, oh hell yeah, that's for me. Like, let's calm down now. I don't think you did. So honestly, this means that Rodriguez is probably up next. Rodriguez is probably up next to fight for a title, even though Carla Esparza should be fighting for a title. So I don't know what we do here. This is really weird. I don't like this at all. Well, because Carla Esparza has done like really good work, and she's on a win streak, and she's ranked number 2, and she lost. Yep. She was the original strawweight champ after that first season, or that first inaugural belt from the season of The Ultimate Fighter, and she beat Rose in that fight. So they have a history. It's gonna be. I think it would be an interesting fight now. I think Rose wins, but I think she's done enough to earn it. I'd like to see her fight for the title. So having Rodriguez jump the line because of this fight, kind of, I don't like the way that
Esparza has also in her last 2 fights beat Jan and Marina.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Is like Esparza has beat everybody in this division.
Esparza beat the other top 2 contenders, and one of the people she beat is now potentially leapfrogging her to get to the title, which I guess the only knock against Esparza would be like how active she was, but at the end of the time, like, she's also waiting for a shot because she felt like she had done enough. So like,
well, yeah, she was active. She was active as enough when she needed to be, and now it's her time to get a title shot. All right. I'm not mad. Maybe she fights Zhang.
Yeah.
Why not? Or when Joanna comes back, maybe she fights.
I would
Joanna.
have Marina fight Zhang, not Carla Esparza though. That'd be my problem.
That's what I mean. It's
okay,
Rodriguez fighting Zhang. I think that makes sense.
That's a good fight.
And then you have Jan take on Mackenzie. Why is Dern still ranked number 5? Blech. Anyway,
I don't want to talk about how that division is ranked.
Yeah, the rankings are all over the place, but I mean the fighters are all great. Don't get me wrong. Like, I think it's the deepest division as far as the females go. They alluded to that. They said that on the broadcast, and I think that's pretty well known at this point that women's strawweight is the deepest female division. For good reason. We don't have to talk about it. That's where your athletic women, the natural size of women, like that's just where you're going to get your largest talent pool, the largest
It's also where
population
Valentina
pool.
hasn't absolutely annihilated everyone.
Yeah, also, these women aren't big enough to take on Valentina, most of them, so they stay down there instead.
Or they are and couldn't in their dreams.
Yeah, like Jessica Andrade, she was the champ at strawweight, but then lost the belt and couldn't fight. I don't know why she's not fighting there. Goes up, wins one fight, and then she gets a title, and then she gets smoked. So, fun stuff. I do like. Yes. I think Shevchenko is phenomenal. I think she's the pound for pound best female fighter on the planet.
Facts.
That shouldn't even be controversial. That should just be like that is what it is.
Duh. Just duh.
Yeah, no shit. All right, let's talk about Negumereanu versus Nzechukwu. Okay, Kennedy.
Good job.
Yeah. Not the easiest names to pronounce. Negumereanu isn't the worst. Nzechukwu's less natural, being a Western speaker, because we don't often put N's followed by another consonant at the beginning of a name. Okay, Negumereanu was having real problems with the range early on. Kennedy looked more deliberate in plotting with his striking, but it was more effective, in my opinion. Kennedy was warned multiple times about his fingers, and then he ended up poking Negumereanu in the eyes at 152 in the first round. More on that later. Weird round, but Negumereanu started to find his range a bit, and I think he outlanded him. Hard to know for sure. I always have the stats up. It's hard to know for sure, but I gave that first round to Negumereanu. All right. So I'm not. I don't think that's too controversial. Like, I understand some people might have given it to Kennedy. All right, second round here. Negumereanu with more aggression to start the second round, and he got Kennedy against the fence and did some good work. But Mark Smith, who is a former, I don't know if it's Air Force pilot, they didn't oh yeah, because he flew with the Thunderbirds, is what was mentioned on the broadcast. He's one of my least favorite referees. I mean, I just don't like the way he refs. I've called him out multiple times. The way he warns people for thinking about doing something illegal, like, "Hey, don't put your fingers in the fence." I'm not. Okay, just don't. Like, he's done it so much at one fight when he was talking to someone, the person looked back up at him saying, "I'm not doing that," which is affecting the outcome of the fight. Not cool. Can't do that shit. Yes. Also, in this case, he separated them from the fence. He hates when there's clinch work going on. He fucking hates it. He gets so bored and he pulls them off the fence super fast. He does not play that game. I don't like that at all. You should be more understanding of what's going on. All right. Is this a true clinch, or are they just resting? In this scenario, they were, Negumereanu pushed him against the fence, got the clinch, and was working in there, and he separated him anyway. Not a fan. And because of that separation, Kennedy moved forward, landing good shots, some like a super clean 1-2. Not rocking Negumereanu. I don't think he ever got rocked, but definitely doing a lot of damage. And more damage from Kennedy, but only because Mark Smith saved his ass and got him off the fence. Not a fan of that, but I gave the round to Kennedy because it is what it is. More damage. 19-19. Okay, this is weird. So this is where that eye poke and the warning come in. So in the third round, Kennedy was outlanding him. Early. So the eye poke happened at 4:45. So immediately as the round starts, he pokes him in the eye. It's a really bad one. Negumereanu had problems controlling his eye from blinking. It's a automated response from your body. Like, you have no control over it, so it affects how he sees things. Which was weird because then Mark Smith didn't give him time to recover. He just asked him, like, "Hey, can you see?" Like, they stopped the fight and everything, and then he took a point from Kennedy, but then he didn't give him the 5 minutes. I don't know if Negumereanu just immediately said, "I'm okay," but it was really fucking weird because his eye was still blinking and they just started the fight. Anyway, Kennedy pretty much was landing at will in the third round, landing flying knees, good overhand rights, just landing pretty much as he wanted. But the thing is, I gave Kennedy that last. Oh yeah. Also, there was a point where Kennedy grabbed the fence and stopped the takedown, and that didn't get caught. So that's not fucking cool. Kennedy won the last round.
No offense to him. Why is Mark Smith a referee?
Oh, okay. So he's not the worst referee. I don't like. I
just don't understand why he is a referee. Sorry, I pulled up his LinkedIn when you brought it up. I was like, all right, Air Force or Navy, and I'm like, oh, this makes no sense as to why he's like. This must literally be a hobby for him.
He's very active. I would say he's on more cards now than the people that we grew up with. You're like Keith Peterson, like Mark Smith is. He's just in there now. He's just a part of the UFC broadcast. Mark Smith is in there a lot. He's not the worst referee. I really disagree with certain things that he does. I don't like. There are referees who do a worse job, like people who don't pay attention and people who actively stop fights too early or too late. I think right now, working referees, I think Mark Goddard, as much as I didn't like some of the things he's done in the past, I think he has nailed a lot of that in. And obviously he makes mistakes like anyone else. He had a habit of stopping fights too early, and I really don't like that. But I think he's, like I said, everybody makes mistakes, but I think Mark Goddard is the current golden standard. I think Herb Dean has fallen off heavily. He's made a lot of mistakes. He's let people get hurt. He's done stupid things. I think he's kind of just not paying attention as much as he should be in there. I think he's gotten really complacent. So I don't think he's that great anymore either. And then Keith Peterson. I think Mark Goddard and Keith Peterson are very, very good referees, and I think they do a great job. Anyway, back to this fight. So in this last round, I gave it to Kennedy. As much as I don't think he should have won the round as far as like output, because I think he cheated more than once. And then after he was warned heavily about keeping his fingers out, he still kept fucking keeping his fingers out after he poked him in the eye. Anyway, that round's a 9-9 because he lost the point for the eye poke. So overall, we should be talking about a 28-28. Right?
Yeah.
2 rounds of Negumereanu, and then 2 rounds to Kennedy, but he gets a minus point in that one, so they should be tied. All right.
But
so here's what happens. I think it was a 29-20, 2 29-27s, and then a 30-20 set. 30. Was it a 30-27?
I think you're right, if I remember correctly.
But
I didn't pay too much attention to the scorecard when they posted it up, but yeah.
Anyway, Kennedy did not. Kennedy lost. Negumereanu got the decision. As much as I would like, oh hey, I wrote down here, sucks to lose, but you shouldn't cheat, you idiot. That was my initial reaction. It's a bit emotional and kind of unfair because breaking the rules should not affect the score unless the referee takes your points away. So Kennedy should have come out on top or gotten the tie. I think the draw was the right decision here. I don't think Negumereanu did enough to win this fight. So I think the wrong guy got the decision there. As much as I think deservedly, like karma-wise, I think, I would side with Negumereanu, but
29-27, 27-29, and 29-27.
Yeah, right. So one person went the way of Kennedy.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's why I was kind of surprised. Anyway, it was a weird fight to watch. I think there's a lot. Kennedy has a lot of stuff to work on, but he has
messy
a lot
fight.
Of but he has a lot of potential.
Yeah,
he has a lot of things that he can excel at in that light heavyweight division, which is getting a little stale. All right.
Fact.
All right, so Marina Moroz versus Agapova. I don't have her first name.
Mariah.
Mariah?
Yeah.
Okay, so Marina Moroz versus Mariah Agapova, former teammates. They used to be friends. They're not friends anymore. There's bitterness. Stop me if you've heard this before. It wasn't as played up. Obviously, it's earlier on the card. It's a freaking prelim fight, so it's not a big deal. Agapova, it's not Agapova because John Anik says it Agapova, and he pronounces things correctly. He does his homework, so I usually tend to go with how John Anik says it or how that person pronounces their name on their own. So Agapova is what I'm going with right now.
Nice.
Her nickname is Demon Slayer. Initially, you're like, "Oh fuck yeah, that's badass," but then you think about it, and you're like, I don't know, I don't like that.
Did you pick it or did you get it?
Yeah, this sounds like
that doesn't
a gamer
seem like
tag.
something someone gives you. Yeah, that's a Twitch name.
Yeah. I'm wolf blood. Are you though? Like wolf sword. You're just combining two things. Like that's my.
Now you're just saying stuff.
Yeah, like my gamer tag is Death of Goat. It's just random shit. That's kind of what this seems like to me. Demon Slayer. Oh, that's badass.
Yeah, if you're 13.
Yeah, then maybe not.
Yeah.
Moroz got the advantage against the cage early. Moroz with the takedown at 253, immediately back up, but then back down, reversal. There was a ton of sub attempts from Moroz for the first round. Moroz gets the first round 10-9. And then a second round, Moroz just spending all day on top, works her way to an arm triangle for the finish.
Yep.
So easy win for Marina Moroz. Good to see her back in the win column. Yep. Also, she had a very emotional...
Sending love back to Ukraine.
Yes. She had a very emotional post-fight speech. She's also always been this way. She's very, like, mousy and cute, and, like, she has a high-pitched voice. And she's very, like, respectful and nice. It's hard to describe unless you see it. But it was so cute because she's like, it was so funny. She like took the microphone away from Rogan, and then Rogan's like, "Oh, okay." And then she goes, "Oh no, I'm sorry. You what?" And he's like, "No, you can have it. Whatever. Do what you want." Like, I don't care. So I thought that was funny. And then she had that send off and speaking back to her family being back in Ukraine. She says, "My country's at war and pray for us," and that kind of stuff. And very emotional. Kind of like I said, it was emotional. It like good fight for her, very dominant performance. I think she's they are not ranked. She used to be ranked. Moroz used to be on track to be a champion, and then she got derailed. I think she fought Joanna and kind of got tooled. So, all right, got anything else on that one? I know we're digging deep into the bottom of the barrel here as far as
good stuff.
Go.
Did you watch any of the Strongman Classic?
No, hold on. No. I want to. No. We have more fights, man. You don't just stop because nobody.
You're gonna do the early prelims? Fine. I didn't watch these.
No, you didn't. Brian Boom Kelleher versus Umar Nurmagomedov. Is that his first name? Omar.
When you say Omar from
Russia.
Islam,
okay.
Yeah.
Umar.
But it can O or U is the same.
Okay. Brian was having issues getting inside with the kicks with Umar's kicks. They were incredible, very quick, very fast. Umar won with a rear naked choke, super fast. Not much to talk about. He looks impressive. He is a disciple of Khabib, obviously. Yep. He's a part of that camp. All right, moving on. Timestamp it here. Okay. Looking at Ulanbekov versus Tim Elliott. So this was another disciple of what's his face? Khabib. So this is another disciple of Khabib. Tim Elliott is super freaking weird. He's the one who had that really good fight against Demetrius Johnson. So this first round was interesting. Tim Elliott got 3 fucking takedowns in the first round against one of the guys fighting out of Khabib's camp, which was interesting to say the least. He was landing some lead leg kicks and weird looping shots. Ulan was doing some really straight, like traditional things, and it wasn't working that well in the first round. But I thought he kept up pretty well in the first round. But then Elliott landed this big left hand with 35 seconds left and put Ulanbekov on his ass, which was fucking crazy cool. And then he had 4 takedowns in that first round. Ulan with the takedown at 343. The next round, Ulan got a takedown at 345. I'm saying that Ulanbekov. I'm saying it short. Anyway, so he, but right back up at 324, no damage. Great reversal from Tim. Tim Elliott did some crazy groundwork and reversals in this second round. It was very cool to watch. There was not a single punch or kick or moment in that second round that really showed me like this is the winner, and that for me meant that Ulanbekov should have gotten that second round. I felt like he did more workman-like.
Well, and there was like a glove thing, wasn't there?
Yeah, but it didn't get called, right? So
Yeah.
Elliot,
Yeah.
grabbed the inside of the glove, and he was fighting weird. Shit happens, but he said he did it on purpose. I don't fucking know. He also was throwing knees when his opponent was still on the ground, but he was timing it like just as the knee was coming up, was super close to being illegal. At that second round, I gave to Ulanbekov. Oh yeah, I put plus Tim grabbing the gloves. Not fucking cool. So I had it tied going into the third. Ulanbekov got the body triangle and sit there till the end of the round. So for a majority of the third round, he was going for a rear naked choke, and Tim Elliott wasn't able to do anything. So I actually had the fight going to Ulanbekov 29-28 because I gave him the first two rounds. The judges did not see it that way. They gave it to Tim Elliott. I don't necessarily agree with that as much as I do like a weirdo like Tim Elliott. I think he's fun for the division. He's fun to watch, but I don't necessarily agree with that one. I've been pretty on with my fight picks or my fight like gradings. I feel like I can defend them.
I'm not arguing. I don't think we've had a disagreement up to this point.
All right, Klein,
you're coming in sharp.
Klein versus Smith. What is Klein's first name? Oh, biscuits. So Klein is from Slovakia, I believe. Klein looked really tight and kind of like uptight in that first round, not necessarily smooth or flowing, but he did. There was a lot of glove touching for the first 60 seconds. Not a whole lot going on. And then Klein.
Klein.
What?
Ludwig.
Yes, Ludwig Klein. Yes.
Yep.
So Klein landed a straight left that rocked Smith at 220, and before that they were going 1-for-1, but Klein appeared to be getting the better of the exchanges. So I gave him that first round. He also landed a head kick at 15 seconds. That was great. Great way to end the round. So 10-9 goes to him. Smith started the second round with like 7 fucking head kicks. He just kept throwing head kicks. Closer round, but Klein still had more damage, or he was either even or had more, plus he had the grappling advantage, so with the clinches. So I gave him that second round 20-18, and in the third round, Klein hurt Smith with a front kick to the body at 4:45, but then the rest of that round pretty much went to Smith. Klein got tired, so I gave that third round to Smith, gave it 29-28 for Klein, which is what I believe everybody did. I think all three judges gave it 29-28 for Klein. And for the opening fight on the card.
Dun, dun, dun.
Opening fight on the card. Michael Oleksiejczuk versus Dustin Jacoby. Yeah, I said that name right. Oleksiejczuk. There was a lot of playing around on the outside, and Jacoby was reaching for punches, which looked awkward, especially with his background in kickboxing. He didn't throw a lot of leg kicks, which was brought up non-fucking stop. It was like they had a PowerPoint presentation, and on every page was like, how come he no throw a leg kick? So more shots and damage and better movement from Michael in that first round. I gave him the first round 10-9. Second round, Jacoby was moving forward to start and landing some good hooks. He landed a good hook, rocking him, and then unloading like 15 shots on him. Doing great work, lots of damage, but then kind of gassed himself out a little bit, and Michael didn't go away. But I think he did enough damage in that little flurry in the beginning to win that second round, so I had it 19-19 going into the third. The third round, I had Jacoby landing more damage, and it could be even, but I had him. But Jacoby controlled him against the cage for the last minute of the fight. So I gave it 29-28 to Jacoby, which again is who they gave it to. So I agree with that decision as well. All right, that covers the whole card, everybody. Whew. There were a lot of fights. I think overall this card was pretty good. I think there was a lot of interesting fights on the card. I didn't hate going through this. Like some of these cards, like I feel like it's a chore to watch. These ones I didn't mind. So, all right.
Yeah, that was an overall good card.
Yeah, I mean,
hands down.
Yeah, I think that's it. We're gonna call it on that one.
Cool.
All right. We made it through all the fights. Thank you guys for sticking in here as long as you did. I appreciate it. I know it was pretty much just me talking, but let's be honest, who's watching early prelims? And if you make it this far to listen to me talk about the early prelims, you are a diehard fan.
Everything you're going to get out of me is going to come in the first 30 minutes.
You can talk about main card stuff.
After that, I'm just getting first names. Like that's...
He has internet right now, and somehow I don't, even though I'm able to like see your face, which is strange. But thank you so much for making it to the end. I really appreciate it. Like I said at the top of this, like share this with people. If this gets 100 likes, I will be picking a subscriber and giving you a free shirt. I will talk to you. We'll discuss it. Find your favorite fighter. We'll get you a shirt.
I believe in you. You can do it.
I appreciate everybody for making it to here. Like I said 1,000 times, I'll say it 1,000 more. I really do. It means a lot to me that people actually watch this stuff, that we interact with each other. Please comment down below. Let me know what you thought about the fights. Did you disagree with me on any of the arguable cards, the scorecards? What do you think? What do you think about Kobe? Do you love the way he talks about people's families? Do you think that he should do more of it?
I would legitimately love to hear someone defend that.
Yeah,
actually, no, I don't know that I would. I could take that back really fast.
Yeah, if you love listening to Kobe talk about people's children, we probably could be friends, but it's going to be an awkward friendship. But yeah, it means a lot to me, guys. I really do. Thank you so much for making it this far, and I hope everybody has an amazing week. Love y'all.